Rassie Rasmus and the Springboks have just dropped the 23-man side to face England, and there are some surprising selections on this team sheet. As always, let me know what your guys' opinions are down in the comments. Leave this video a like, and if you haven't, please absolutely mur that subscribe button. We bring in so much content from England. There'll be a game vlog, there'll be a match preview, there'll be absolutely everything, and maybe some special collabs. But let's get into this lineup because it is quite interesting, and there are going to be a couple of questions on specifically who's going to be taking that kicking tee, right? So up front, we've got Ox, we've got Bongi, and a surprise selection, we've got Volko Low. Now, I didn't see that coming. You could have gone Thomas du Toit or Vincent Koch in that number 3 jersey, but giving Volko Low an opportunity against England at Twickenham maybe just says something about the form that Volko Low's been in for the Blue Bulls and how much he's impressed Rassie Rasmus and the coaching staff. So Ox and Bongi, we kind of expected that, but Volko Low, a little bit of a surprise. And then into that lock department, we were kind of wondering who is Rassie going to pair up with Eben Etzebeth? Is it going to be Franco Mostert? Is it going to be Archie Snyman? Is Peter Steff going to move into that lock position? Well, we have our answer, and it's a very, very scary prospect if you are an English supporter and if you're going to be playing for England on the weekend. Eben Etzebeth and Archie Snyman in the lock department is quite surprising. I thought we might have gone Franco Mostert and then put Archie Snyman on the bench, but having two very, very big, very tall locks is going to help out with our lineouts. And yes, our lineout had a couple of issues last week, Bongi with a couple of overthrows, but I mean, if you're trying to hit Eben and Archie Snyman, it's almost impossible to throw over them. So I think they're going to provide us with a little bit of security and safety at lineout time, and then we all know how impactful Archie Snyman is when he comes off of the bench, and he's going to impact the game from minute one with his offloads, with his big ball carries, with his physicality that he brings. We then move over into the loose trio, and no real surprises here. This is exactly what we predicted. Siya Kolisi in that number 6 jersey, Peter Steff and Jasper Wiese. Now, Siya Kolisi did get a knock against Scotland, and there were some murmurs about, is he going to be fit for the England game or isn't he? Well, he's captaining, and I'm very, very excited to see him take the pitch at Twickenham against the English. Peter Steff du Toit back in the starting lineup, arguably the best player in world rugby at the moment, and is definitely one of those impact players for the Boks that can change the game, that can get us onto the front foot. And then that 8 debate. Kwagga didn't have a great game last week. Ulrich Lowe can play 8. Should we have brought Cameron Hanekom in for his debut? I think we're going to see him potentially next week. But no, we went for Jasper Wiese, which I think is the correct call. And if you're kind of looking at that pack, it's a big, big pack. I mean, Volko Low is a little bit bigger than Thomas du Toit and Vincent Koch. So we've definitely gone for size. Look at Archie Snyman over Franco Mostert. There's obviously been a decision made that we're going to go for our biggest forwards possible. We're going to try get on that front foot and let the back line sort of play some free-flowing game with some good front football from the forward. So a very, very strong pack that Rassie Rasmus has put out. Then into the back line, and this was a big talking point this week. Who is going to play 9 and who is going to play 10? Is Rassie Rasmus going to stick with Handré Pollard, who he praised quite a lot in some of the press conferences last week, saying that he's in good form, let's play him, let him have a run. Obviously, he paired him with Jaden Hendricks last weekend, who maybe didn't have the greatest of game, and we saw when Grant Williams came on, the pace of the game changed a little bit. So I'm glad to see Grant Williams finally getting a start in that number 9 jersey for the Springboks, and what a time to do so. I mean, at Twickenham against England in a very, very big game. And then Manie Libbok in that number 10 jersey. Now, obviously, that is going to be the talking point for a lot of people this weekend. Who's going to do the kick? Who's going to kick? Who's going to take the tee? And is Manie Libbok going to be able to do it? Because if you look at the rest of the backs, yes, Ches and Colby can kick for poles. Yes, Fassi maybe can kick for poles. But I think this is Rassie Rasmus saying to Manie Libbok, we back you. Here's the number 10 jersey. Here's the kicking tee. We back you, and just go and do it and get it done. Now, a lot of guys were saying that maybe they'd play Manie Libbok with Jaden Hendricks there because Jaden can kick for poles as well. But I like this move from Rassie. I like the faith that the Springbok coaching staff have put into Manie Libbok. I think he's an electric fly-off, and on his day, probably our best attacking fly-off. And if his kicking is operating, then he's going to have a great day. There is a lot of pressure on him, and there will be a lot said in the media in the next coming days. If he doesn't kick well on Saturday, that will be the story. If he kicks well, then we won't hear too much from the media about Manie Libbok unless he has a really, really good game. It's a little bit unfortunate that people kind of people are more drawn to the negative side of things than the positive side of things. I really like Manie Libbok, and I think this is a great opportunity for him and Grant Williams to kind of show maybe this new Tony Brown system that the Springboks are trying to implement. This sort of the pack that we've put on a 9 and 10 combination is saying to me, we want to get go forward ball, we want to play some running rugby. We know Manie Libbok is good at cross kicking, so it's a very attacking minded Springbok side that Rassie has put out. Then no real surprises in the wings and the centres. All 4 of these players got rested last weekend against Scotland. Curtly Arendse, Cheslin Colby, Damien Delende and Jesse Kriel. I think in terms of centres and wings, those are probably our best starting options at the moment. There is an argument for Makazole Mapimpi, who had a very, very good game last week, and maybe they could have played him. But I think this has always been the plan, right? We rest Cheslin, Curtly, Damien Delende and Jesse Kriel against Scotland, and then we kind of save them for England and let them be completely fresh when they take on England at Twickenham. They also would have started preparing for England 2 weeks ago, while the others were sort of preparing for Scotland. So it's going to be a very, very fresh backline for the Springboks. Grant Williams only played about 15 minutes, Manie Libbok, and then the rest of the backline didn't play last weekend. So they're going to be completely fresh. You look at the forwards, Volkolo is going to be fresh, Archie Snyman's going to be fresh, Sia, Peter Steff and Jasper Wester is all going to be fresh. So England are going to have a massive, massive task on their hands. And if you think that they played against Australia and New Zealand and played their starting lineup, they're going to be a little bit battered and bruised coming up against a very, very fresh Springbok side. Then at number 15 jersey, and I'm a little bit sad about this, only because this just means that Willie Leroux isn't going to get his 100th cap while we're here in the UK. He's going to have to wait for another 6 or 7 months. But I was speaking to one of my mates earlier this morning, and he was saying that it will be special for Willie to sort of get his 100th cap in South Africa in front of that home crowd. And now that is most likely going to be the case. It will be quite sad if he ends on 98 or 99 caps. But Apelele Fassi in that 15 jersey is absolutely beautiful, so good under the high ball and attacking threats, counter-attacking threats. So that backline is looking very dangerous. Manie Libbok, Apelele Fassi, the 2 flyers on the wings are going to cause England some major troubles. Then into the replacements, and there was chat about the 7-1 split from last weekend. Some journalists calling Rassie Erasmus arrogant, and that we change the substitution format. We need to go down from 8 to 5 substitutions because the Springboks are too powerful. But that's what you get when you develop depth, right? The Springboks have played 49 different players in a Springbok top this season. That just shows the depth that we are building. They didn't even go for a 6-2 split. They've gone for a 5-3 split, and I think that is because Manie Libbok is starting. So to have Handré Pollard on the bench is quite key in case it is tight towards the 60th minute mark. But if we look at the 5 forwards, Malcolm Marx, no surprise there. Gerrit Steenekamp and Vincent Koch, no real surprise there. That is what we kind of expect from the bomb squad. Then they've gone with Ulrich Loh and Kwagga Smith. Ulrich to replace Jasper Wester like we have been doing for our home games, Kwagga Smith to maybe fill in for Sia Kolisi, and Peter Steff being that third lock option in case Archie Snyman or Ebenet Sebeth get injured. Peter Steff can move to 4 or 5, and then Kwagga or Ulrich can play 7. Into the backs, Kobus Reinach, Handré Pollard and Lukhanyo Am. Now Lukhanyo Am is a little bit of an interesting call. I think they probably could have played Willie and he could have got his 100th cap against Wales, but I would probably say Lukhanyo is the utility back within that, right? Kobus Reinach will cover 9, Handré Pollard 10, and then Lukhanyo can play wing. He can play inside and outside centre. The full back issue is maybe a little bit of a problem. I know Manie Libbok can play 15, so if something happens to Fassi, Manie will go to 15, Pollard will come in at 10, and then Lukhanyo kind of covers wings and centre. So we are very, very well covered, and quite the contrast to what we saw against Scotland in that 7-1 split. This Springbok side will be revving to go. They're fresh as a fiddle, and I'm expecting a massive battle at Twickenham on Saturday. As always, let me know what your guys' opinions are down in the comments. Leave this video a like, and as always, make sure you absolutely mur that subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy. Peace.